It's been like 7-ish years and pitches still have an abysmal drop rate. I've talked to people who have played for years and have never gotten certain pitched items despite them doing their respective bosses each week. One person I talked to took 222 weeks for a single magic eye patch. Meanwhile, I'm 5 set, seemingly stuck until the game decides I deserve a belt. From what I understand, interactive players have the secondary option to just buy a clean pitch from the auction house in lieu of effectively winning the lottery every week. We lack that option in Heroics. People just simply must be lucky every week. That's all we've got. No other way. The one thing that unifies us both is that despite how difficult it is to get these things, we could still lose them all the same by having a real bad starring session. It's nonsense. Anyway, the real reason why I'm even bothering with this is because I'm concerned about how the game's future is going to look with the recent decisions made in the past year. 6 job, the damage cap being 700 bill, and more recently, the brilliant boss set and the removal of Reboot. Bear with me a bit, I'll get back to pitches, I promise. With these additions, this tells me that the Korean director is planning a widespread swath of extremely hard content leading up to Dar More. He even said himself, now that Reboot's out of the picture, he can focus on designing bosses with regular server endgame players in mind. He noted that Reboot would typically take longer to get strong enough to defeat new bosses, so that probably made him hold back a bit. Now that this is no longer the issue, he's got no constraints. What does that mean for us, though? Here in Heroics, we're still using that playstyle. Are we to believe that we're just going to be getting bosses that we won't be able to straight up do despite the best efforts of the top 0.01% of players? Granted, we have non-KMS things like familiars and whatever else, but is it really going to be enough? Inkwell might give Heroics something to work with this and make it doable, but I have my doubts on that. It's natural for an MMO to continue to add harder and harder content to keep players engaged and getting stronger, but it seems Nexon is catering a bit too much towards the high-end whales that'll have no hesitation spending a house mortgage on their equipment to min-max their damage and forgetting that they'll also need to ensure newer or weaker players can also have the same opportunity to get strong and experience the new content themselves. So with that, I'd like to propose a pitched pity system that I believe works for everyone. On top of normal pitch drops, every boss past Hard Lotus and up to Extreme Kaling will drop a single instance token every time the boss is defeated, much like how Eternals work with their tokens. When a player obtains 50 of these, they can choose from a list of pitched boss items, with the Genesis Badge, Mitra's Wrath, and Total Control being excluded. Implementing this would give players an incentive. Keep at it, and you'll see an upgrade. Keep at it, and you'll receive spares for the next Star Force event. Keep at it, and you can make your boss meal stronger. So on and so forth. While 50 tokens would seem a bit far-fetched to a newer player, the speed of which one would obtain these tokens only ramps up. An experienced, hard-hitting player that does up to Kaling every week would only need to spend 5 or so weeks to get a new pitched item. Now, this next part is for those at Nexon, as if this whole thing hasn't been friend to them already. Maplers are tired. We're getting to a point where we don't have the time to grind all day. A lot of us are getting older and finding ourselves swamped with our own personal lives. For us to be told that our progression is stunted because of an RNG element that's weekly will absolutely kill our momentum to keep playing. As it stands, future content will be locked behind higher and higher damage gates that will eventually require us to go in with full pitch sets just to make up for the difference between KMS and GMS. If no slack is given in the form of us getting our final damage passive back to what they were, or ease of access to rerolling familiars, these new bosses will be unbeatable by the majority, and people will either stop caring, go on hiatus, or just quit altogether. MapleStory Global is in desperate need of pity systems, not only for pitched items, but for things like Star Force and rerolling potentials. Otherwise, you've got a pretty predatory casino going on and people will eventually become overburdened. Anyway, I just wanted to get this off my chest and vent it out. If you feel the same way, send this to your guildmates, friends, randos, and Hennesses, regardless of what happens, though. Good luck on your pitch drops.